we still have Olaf up here. Very strong champion, and so Rogue Warriors still have a lot of options here, but they are going to go for the Kaisa first. Just a decent hyper carry, and I like Kaisa a lot just because we are seeing game time slow down a little bit. I would prefer this over the Samira or the Ezreal coming out from Betty.
Yeah, I'm just looking down at the stats as well. I'm just thinking of how Rogue Warriors need to try and shore up their early game. They're going against an Edward Gaming who gets first blood 60% of the time. Rogue Warriors do not get first blood pretty much ever. They get a 27.3%. First tower 75% of the time for Edward Gaming, 36.4% for Rogue Warriors. This early game right now could be really rough for Rogue Warriors if EDG could get going. But looking at the picks coming in now, you got the Lillia, the Seraphine. It looks like they're going to try and maybe go for maybe kind of a tank or a carry top lane, or all the eggs into the Kaisa basket. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors, it's always an open question on where this Seraphine could actually go. We have seen mainly mid lane be the destination for a number of leagues here, but there's also a possibility for support here. I don't think so given the Thresh that's already selected here on EDG, but somewhat of a possibility. Both of these teams now are trending towards more late game teamfight centrics. That is where the Seraphine is the strongest. Her Encore with the range is absolutely ridiculous. It's 12,000 and she gets to refresh that over and over again. On EDG's end, they have the hyper carry already. They have Udyr as, just a very strong early harassing champion that can drag the pace on and have that buffer for them in the early game. So I think both of these teams right now, for me, are trending more towards late game team fights.
Does feel like that. The Aphelios, of course, doesn't really start to feel that powerful until you do start locking in those thirds, kind of 3.5 items. The Thresh, of course, gives them a hell of a lot of safety. It's a very tried and tested. It's kind of what I would call the Aphelios Thresh is what the Ashe Zyra used to be. If you see one, you're going to see the other because they don't really work separately that well. They're just kind of a great combination. Yeah,
Aphelios doesn't really get going until the Infinity Edge, so much more of a 3-item carry, and you want a lot of protection in the early game, as much as you can possibly get on that bottom side. So that's going to be EDG's draft, banking on the strength of Viper. I think Viper can go for fairly aggressive picks like the Samira, but this time around, EDG, this draft for me, this is playing it safe. This is saying, you know what? We are the better team here. We don't have to do anything fancy. Let's not do anything risky. Sure, we want a rebound. We want a vengeance from losing to IG and losing our flawless win streak, but if we lose 2 in a row, it's going to feel even worse. So let's just go for the big safe picks. There's nothing really special about this Orianna Udyr combo. Really good at directing that shockwave, and then the hyper carry in the bot side. So very, very standard from EDG.
Yep, pretty bog standard. Scout's honestly been playing some of the best League of Legends I think he's played in a very, very long time. He hasn't really been the focus of EDG's success, but he has definitely been a massive clutch player. I'll always think back to the V5 EDG game where he was able to get that 2-man or 3-man shockwave underneath the tower, delay the kind of, deaths going down. They were able to win that one, completely turn it around. But for Rogue Warriors, they've locked in the Gnar. They are going to have to go blind into that top side. And we'll see now what they want to try and push up into the support or mid lane. It looks like maybe they're going to throw the Seraphine down to the bot side and look for something a little bit more aggressive for Forge. This is something that we talked about very, very early on in the split. Forge is known for his AD assassins.
He loves to play melee AD champions, and seeing that Lillia early pretty much was a bit of a giveaway that he was going to go for this champion. It does have a good time against Orianna. Very difficult for Orianna to actually dodge out on the Fate Seal, so the full combo will most likely land for Yone, and any bit of damage coming out from the jungler will be enough to kill them. So great AD-AP ratios coming out from the mid jungle, but this is mainly a level 6 combo. You're not really going to see it kick into gear early on, and the other side lanes for Rogue Warriors have me a bit worried. Blind Gnar is not something I'm an advocate of. I feel like there's a lot of counter picks. We've said that many times before. And giving Flandre one of his best champions in the Gangplank to counter out the Gnar is a bit of a feels bad. And so is the bot lane. The bottom lane is almost a double counter here. Sure, Seraphine is very strong in lane, you can poke out, but one of the best champions at just killing Seraphine are those hook champions. So Thresh, if he ever lands anything, Seraphine's going to have a very hard time surviving. The jungle's going to come in, you have flash, you have dark passage to stick to her. I like the idea from making Forge and Haro the main focus of your team. This is what we wanted to see out of Rogue Warriors, but those side lanes got me a bit worried.
Yeah, we talked about kind of, you know, how their combination really only kind of comes online pretty much across the board at level 6. And looking at the stats, they have an average of minus 2,000 gold difference at 15, whereas EDG have a plus 1,000. That's a 3,000 gold difference effectively between the two. And that makes me very, very scared for a team like Rogue Warriors, where your biggest weakness has been the early game. Their games just snowball against you, and you're not really setting yourself up to be able to shore up those weaknesses. Jiejie is going to have the run-of-the-mill. Flandre realistically shouldn't really feel any pressure in this early side. We've obviously talked about this many times. The Gangplank does very well into the Gnar early stages and then just kind of outscales him exponentially. And the Orianna is never really going to have any kill threat unless, you know, Scout really, really messes up. So we'll see how it goes. Rogue Warriors, they definitely are looking down the barrel of a very, very scary EDG gun. But we are on to the Rift, and we will see if EDG can meet our expectations or if Rogue Warriors have some kind of surprise as everyone starts to fan out. Pretty bog standard start here.
No side has a decisive level 1, but given these draft compositions, I definitely think that Rogue Warriors are the ones that need to get things going early. EDG, they have a composition that is 3-item galore. You look at the Gangplank, you look at the Aphelios, you look at the Orianna. This is one of the strongest teamfight comps you could possibly draft in this patch. So Rogue Warriors, even given their early game deficit and the difficulty of actually finding advantages in their side lanes, I think they still need to pick up the pace. They can't really farm this one out.
Clement, we have crowds. The Jios have returned to us. The prophecy is true. Well, I'm just excited about it because they obviously, there was a slight moment where they said no more live crowds. We got to make sure that we have everything sorted out for the thing that's, you know, ruining the world right now, and they've obviously brought them back because everything seems to be set up, and I'm happy. I'm just delighted to see them back. The Jios are an incredibly important part of the LPL, in my opinion.
Definitely, you have to have that passion, and you have to let those players feel the pressure. That's the thing I think the crowds are actually most important about. When we didn't have crowds, I felt like a lot of rookie players actually overachieved, and then it hit playoffs when you actually have people watching you, and then they kind of crumbled under the pressure. So having crowds there is always a nice touch for the home teams, and especially for the rookies to get accustomed to the big stages.
Definitely helps, of course. The more veteran players would feel their consistency definitely will not falter. Of course, the rookie players. I think you're referencing to some certain WE players, but I shall not take your bait. I shall not be put into a corner where I will take your bait. But again, Rogue Warriors, they got Betty now into the lineup, and Betty didn't look bad. We actually had a couple of different segments that we maybe wanted to look into this guy, but against LGD, yes, they lost the series, of course, but Betty didn't play terribly, and I'm glad to see him kind of, you know, obviously after all the uncertainty of whether or not he would play, he's come in and he hasn't looked, you know, like a complete and utter flop. He looks like he's actually adding to the squad. Yeah,
I think he's doing exactly what we expected out of him. He's going to have a good early game. He's much more lane focused compared to other AD carries that a lot of them are more team fight focused, I would say. So Betty is shoring up that early game weakness. We see a beautiful double barrel coming in from Flandre, using the brush onto that one, pretty much touching on the edges of the circle right there. Oh, my geometry is terrible. But yeah, really good trade coming in there. And I think the main thing about Rogue Warriors actually getting their win over LGD is we saw Forge actually show up and play more standard. This has been something that we wanted to see out of him. He was known as a bit of a one-trick in terms of his melee champions. Nothing's going to happen here. Jiejie spotted out already, so I will continue on Forge. But Forge played a lot more games on Azir, just joined that sort of MVP club, and now he has jungle pressure in this gank.
Well, he's got jungle pressure, but he's got not a lot of health bar there. Haro is around. Jiejie going to force the flash, you would imagine, out of Forge. No, Haro does get himself back in using his Q to make sure there's nothing else untoward there. And actually, you can see there the Seraphine roaming up on the mini-map. You can see the both supports, the both AD carries being on the left, and all of a sudden we have a 3v3 in mid lane. This is showing you how much pressure, how much priority both sides want to put onto both these mid laners.
Really good warding from both teams. As you can see, the supports, roams from both sides were actually spotted out by the respective wards on the Raptor ramp and on the top side of their lane. Also, something interesting to notice here is the jungle pathing by Jiejie. It was actually a very non-optimal pathing as he went through the enemy side of the jungle. He did take a Raptor camp away, so he will have more on the map here, but he was down about 2 camps by taking that gank path and then heading straight towards the top lane. So this is EDG trying to get things going a lot earlier than expected and trying to catch people off guard.
See if it does work out for them. There is a pretty decent CS lead actually for Ziv up on that top side. Having eyes on Jiejie all that time, it's kind of a kind of a passive effect of Jiejie putting so much pressure and effort into mid lane is that Gnar knows he's safe. He knows he can push the Gangplank in. He knows he can be a bit more aggressive. And I like that Ziv recognized that and did push a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and he actually has a very good buy up against the Gangplank. Usually when the Gangplank gets an early back on the Sheen, it's very difficult for Gnar to keep his HP bar up, but this is a good buy as he gets straight into the plated steel caps. That's going to help a lot against the parlay. Those do count as auto attacks, so you do get the debuff there. So this item buy is actually quite favorable to Ziv. And on the flip side, I think Flandre tried to pull his wave a little bit closer, but he will be pushing back now onto to this side.
See what way they want to go and work it. Haro just getting himself ticked over to level 6, that extra camp advantage, so he will have the Lilting Lullaby. Is going to be spotted on this ward though, so Flandre should recognize this and back himself up. Immediately he recognized he can't even try and bait out some kind of the barrels, but... And Ziv with level 6 as well, moving up towards the Mega Gnar. Will have that extra little bit of CC to put down, but when you have the information that the top lane, or the jungler is top lane, you can go straight onto that dragon. Very, very easy for someone like Udyr to be able to take this. First global objective to EDG, first advantage to EDG.
Good find by there. They know the jungle path and coming out from each side. I believe both junglers actually started on their Raptors here, so they were going to have opposites. They were going to have like very mirrored clears. And now we do have Forge coming in with the combo. Good flash from Scout.
Scout does get himself out. The Lilting Lullaby is available, and both the jungler and mid laner of EDG were hit. But Forge, using the Sealed Fate, gets himself a summoner, and Scout's kind of feeling the pressure a little bit.
Not a lot you can do in that matchup, as we see Viper take a bit of a trade, trying to get life sealed back on. And Meiko that's not finding the hooks, as we see the Lilting Lullaby.
Yep, they're going to go for a shockwave. Does land, though. Jiejie just gets himself out, and it's first blood to Scout. Forge trying his best to just dance around away from the cannon barrage, which we did see come down. The advantage that you get when you have something like Gangplank at the top side. His impact is instant, and now he is mid lane. Forge dashes forward, might have to expend the flash here if he wants to survive. Yes, he does. Flandre keep going, though. He might have another barrel in the back pocket. Maybe even another one, not quite able to get the distance on it. He will take a huge amount of tower damage for his efforts, but first blood to EDG, and they are on the board already.
That was a good play in theory coming out from Rogue Warriors. They did have a summoner advantage, but Scout holding onto his ultimate and Gangplank still having the cannon barrage really made the difference right there, as we are going to go into more bot lane action.
Yeah, you do not have the level 6 though for the Seraphine. The shotgun there from Betty as they try to jump onto Meiko, who will fall. Haro picks up that one. TP's coming in from both top laners. Flandre gets exhausted immediately and takes a hell of a lot of damage on top of him. He tries to eat an orange to BK, but he will not, as K-Schwan takes that kill. Nice response here from Rogue Warriors in the bot side.
Yeah, that teleport was a little bit of a waste. It came down really, well, it was on time, but the teleport itself takes a lot of time, and before he could really make it a 3v3, Meiko was already a goner. So he comes down, gives up over another kill, and things are actually looking quite dicey for EDG at this point. I was thinking that maybe they would be able to get something out of their early game. The Thresh versus Seraphine matchup is pretty volatile and definitely in favor of Thresh if you have jungle pressure. But EDG, both of these times, have failed to make use of that. And Rogue Warrior is actually winning out massively on both the bottom side and the top side, as we do see a swap coming in for the Herald play.
Oh, Shockwave completely whiffs, so that's a big ultimate down. There's Haro, gets a 3-man lilting lullaby. That is perfect, but they can't follow it up. There's nothing to go. I like the idea, Haro, but you just didn't have the people behind you.
I don't think that was a great lilting lullaby, just because the enemy team were already so far underneath their own towers. If you think about the people that were following up, it was going to be Forge, who has to go in melee range and take those tower shots. So definitely Haro could have held on to his ultimate there, but hey, they got what they came for. They have the priority, and they also have the bot lane swapped preemptively, so they have numbers advantage, and they're going to be able to take down this Herald.
Still waiting for level 6s for Meiko and Keishuan as Ziv is about to hit Mega. Looks like they might 4-man this bot side, as they know the Rift Herald has been taken on top, so the trade will just be top lane turret and all the plates for bot lane turret and all the plates. But this Gangplank, pretty difficult to dive. No level 6 here, so no Encore available. Haro has no Lilting Lullaby just yet either. Makes this very difficult to dive.
Yeah, Betty actually loses out on the barrel exchange there and lets Flandre clear the wave. And this is going to be very much in advantage to EDG. Even without the Herald, they're coming up with a lot better clear. And Ziv can't really do the same thing. This is a Gangplank with Cannon Barrage and with the Barrel Chain, so he can clear the minions a lot easier than Gnar can on the bottom side.
Yeah, he hasn't even been forced to use his Cannon Barrage as of yet. Flandre doing an exceptional job on the weak side here. They will lose first turret already from Rogue Warriors, so EDG kind of losing a lot in this trade here. They have the Rift Herald to get a big charge, but again, you can't really push this back. The Phoenix stance is too powerful here from Jiejie, and this tower is just too tanky when you take all these plates so early on. So very difficult for the season to take that turret just yet. And EDG, they're still pushing bot side. They've no reason to back away just yet.
It's pretty surprising to see a three-man stack on the top lane with Herald actually lose to a 2-man push in the bottom side. But such is the case right now, and EDG are getting a lot of gold out of this. Aphelios is going to be very much accelerated. He didn't swap, he went back straight to his own lane, so he didn't have to waste a lot of that travel time. And if you look at the CS score, it's very much in favor of Betty. Betty had to spend a lot of his auto attack split between taking down the turret for team's tempo against CSing himself, and right now he's being put in a massive hole with Aphelios accelerated.
Yeah, Aphelios accelerating is not exactly an ideal situation for Kaisa, especially when he can able to get those, chakras started up, and then even just the threat of a Baron take is very real. You've got the Udyr and the Aphelios, and even with the Orianna kind of like splitting off to a side lane, it'll be very easy for the side of EDG to take that. We'll see how they do want to develop it. We're coming into 12 minutes into the game, and it's still fairly equal, about 500 or so gold lead for EDG, so not the worst in the world. Dragon has spawned, flashes are available except for Forge and Haro, and actually Betty should have his very shortly. So Rogue Warriors, they might feel like they might be able to contest this.
Yeah, I think they have to do something early. As we said again, this is a team that I don't think holds a candle to EDG's composition into the late game. So they will have to play fairly aggressive here, but we do see EDG are coming in with the flank. Udyr plus Orianna combo has been very common. And oh, the Shockwave only tags onto one.
Yeah, they get the... Oh, stolen though. Mountain comes down in favor of EDG. Flash Bear slap, as you can see there is the Encore just to try and dissuade EDG from pushing forward. Rogue Warriors put a lot into that and they gain very little. And overall, it just feels like EDG are kind of, again, dictating the pace.
That was a bit of a misplay from Rogue Warriors. They definitely should have been able to take that Drake. And with that miss smite, or honestly, Jiejie had a better smite here being level 9, but with that going that way, EDG are going to have open season on this mid lane tower, so they were forced out of the Drake fight. They lost the objective. They took almost half of their HP from the AoE coming out from both Orianna and Flandre, and look at how much free farming Rogue Warriors are getting right now. They get a bunch of push into the mid lane. Flandre doesn't have to teleport, he doesn't have to go to the Drake, and he still gets free farm in the top. So that was another pretty sizable win for EDG, and it means that Rogue Warriors have this diminishing timer on when they can come back into the game. They really have to look at EDG and say, you know what, this is an incredibly fast Drake stack. This is about a 22-minute Dragon Soul upcoming for EDG, which means that Rogue Warriors, they need to hit those power spikes on Forge. They need to get 2 items on him for the 100% crit, and they have to work out all these different time frames in this game.
Yeah, just kind of like looking at it, it's about 22 and a half if you're taking, you know, kind of the time to take the dragon and no contestation. When the quickest you can stack a soul is about 20 minutes, 30 seconds, which is just monstrous when you think about EDG. And not only that, but looking at Viper was the benefactor for so many of those turret plates that they were able to take in the bot side, in the mid lane. I think he picked up a shared amount of about 7 plates. So he's just been hyper accelerated. Has the Kraken Slayer, still waiting for the first mythic for Betty. You can see right now, Betty forced to cleanse. Nicely done there. Good summoner discipline from Betty. Forced out the flash from Meiko. So they trade summoner for summoner. So not the worst trade in the world, but Betty needs to be so careful.
I will say one of the best situations for Rogue Warriors to come back in this game is actually to catch people off when they siege, as we see the Encore.
Oh, they're going to go for the Encore. Catches on the 2, and that's going to be one quick kill. If they can get him down, they will. Meiko will be next to follow. Betty jumps in onto the backside. They force the flash out of the Viper as he goes down as well. But the Yone will fall just as well on the backside, but good moves from Rogue Warriors. They're keeping this close. They're trying to get some gold in their pockets.
Yeah, that's the move that I wanted to see them pull off. They do have a very good wombo combo with the Encore and Fate Sealed, so I don't think EDG should actually try and spend too much time sieging. I think sieging is way too risky for EDG. If you have 4-man stacked on this mid lane tower, it's so easy for Seraphine to just charm your entire team. Like, she gets extended range over the river like that, and this is a situation where I just felt like EDG, they sort of put themselves in a ramp. Really good engage by Kaisa, finding the 2 members here, and the wombo combo just going through the lilting lullaby, also slowing people down. That's something that's going to be very dangerous for EDG. So I think if I'm EDG, I would just wait it out a little bit. You go later into the game, you have your Zhonya's, you have most likely the Mikhails coming out from the support. It becomes a lot easier to actually deal with the wombo, but you don't really want to be running into a massed group against Rogue Warriors right now.
Only issue though for Rogue Warriors now is after expending all of those ultimates, you can see them all on cooldown. That means they cannot contest for this Rift Herald. That is going to be an easy objective here for EDG. They've got the Shockwave back, they've got the Cannon Barrage, they've got the Moonlight Vigil, they've everything available to them, so they are going to be able to take that one here, probably push this one into the mid lane, a minute till the next dragon spawns, and this will be putting EDG onto that Ocean Soul point. So this is the issues that we had right now, is that yes, Rogue Warriors are getting the kills, but it is don't get it twisted. This is EDG very much dictating the pace, very much pushing for those advantages, and very much in the lead.
Yeah, we have to pay very close attention to the cooldowns here. I like what EDG are doing, backing out as soon as that Herald lands. They don't want to spend any more time than necessary in that narrow corridor down into the mid lane. So well done there, playing off of the cooldowns. And this is an interesting Drake because with EDG going back here, I do think that Rogue Warriors actually have the advantage in terms of percentage gold spent. So the gold lead's not going to be as important in this coming Drake, but the setup will be. EDG doing staggered backs right here. Scout probably not going to get a chance to actually find his back as he is interrupted. And the way I want to see EDG actually approach this is keep their members spread out and try to tag in with the flank. Try to get Rogue Warriors to blow their wombo combo on Jiejie alone. That's probably the best way to defuse this.
Well, we'll see what way they want to go for. Flandre eats an orange and he's K from the root that came in there from Kaisa. They have got the Encore available. Ziv is ramping up to Mega Gnar. You can see him just want to try and hold it until there's no real kind of question of whether or not he should go out. Viper takes a bit of punishment here. And now the dragon has been started, 4,000 HP. This is the fight for you, Rogue Warriors. You have to go for this one. Jiejie, they're trying to jump in now. You can see they're trying to stun up the Gnar, and he's deleted before he can get any work done. Moonlight Vigil comes down. Whoa, Warriors will not get the dragon either. They'll lose 2. They'll lose the dragon. Jiejie almost falls down. It's a 3v5 right now as everyone's just trying to run away from Rogue Warriors. They're trying to see if they can kite this one out. Flash from Scout. Shockwave down onto Betty. Betty uses the killer instinct to keep himself alive, but the auto attack is enough from Scout. EDG get everything and are now on sole point.
That was a massive dud coming in from Ziv. I believe he was tagged out by the Death Sense, so he doesn't even get his ultimate off before that goes over. So missing a huge piece of the Wombo combo, not able to follow off in unison with the ultimates here, and we have a bit more action.
Yep, we got a little bit, but everyone backs themselves away. EDG just making sure that Rogue Warriors do not get any advance wards for a TP flank with the Yone or the Gnar. Now you're on a timer. This is it. 4 minutes time. You have to fight at this dragon. 23.5 minutes is probably roughly the time. So 24 by the time it gets taken. That's such an early Ocean Drake. And you can see here, I feel like Rogue Warriors, they forced Jiejie back, but they still weren't able to get it.
Yeah, that was massive from Meiko. He did a number on Gnar, making sure the combo doesn't come down. And if you look at Seraphine, I don't even feel like you saw her ultimate come out there. It wasn't a part of the combo that they wanted to get. And they lose everything in that Drake fight. That Meiko has to be the MVP for stopping Ziv.
Yeah, this Thresh is doing so much work to stop that. Like you said, the Wombo combo, it just stops the Gnar from getting into position. You're able to get the flay, the hook. And I feel bad for Rogue Warriors. Like, Rogue Warriors are not a unlikable team, but they're definitely not a good team. And, you know, sitting at 1-9 in the standings, you're not really feeling super confident in this team. It looks like most likely they're going to go 1-10. You've 5 games left to try and not be last in the LPL. That's a sad place to be in.
Yeah, it's very difficult for them to come back, and I do want to touch about the game state right now. It's the timers we were talking about. Yone really wants to get to 2 items, get that 100% crit. But as we see now, that's actually not possible before the, it's going to be very difficult before the Drake. So EDG might be able to force a decisive team fight before Yone can find full power in this mid game. This has been a reason why Yone has been coming back in the meta, was because of the previous patches, giving him 100% crit rate now on just 40% from items. So,
yes,
if he gets that, it's a huge spike, but if he doesn't even get that before the decisive dragon fight, then EDG should have a fairly easy time to clean the rest of Rogue Warriors up.
And you got 2 items now on the Scout. He's got the Liandry's Anguish alongside the Zhonya's. 2 items here for Viper, Kraken Slayer, and the Runan's Hurricane. Flandre working up towards his Immortal Shield Bow, I would imagine, that he will be one to go for on this Gangplank. Viper takes out the top lane tier 1, so there's all tier 1 turrets dead and buried. 2 minutes until the Ocean Soul is spawning. It's a 5,000 or 4,500 gold lead here for EDG. It's slow, it's methodical, and at the end of the day, it's just clean.
Exactly what EDG want to do in a rebound game. This time, they go for a fairly muted composition. You know, they're not trying to play for the Jace. They're not trying to play for the Samira. They're just saying, you know, we're the better team. Let's play a scaling team composition and force the enemy to come into us. I like this mentality a lot better than going full vengeance mode on bottom tier teams. I feel like this is the way to go if your team wants to make sure that they can continue to progress in the standings. Now, just to
I want like sub 20-minute game. That's what I want.
You know what the fastest game has been in the LPL so far?
I think it's like 22:30 or something.
Oh yeah, you're actually really close. Almost right on the dot. 22:36, and the victim was OMG, and the perpetrators were Sunni. So
see, I like that. I like the explosive nature of it. I like the idea of, like, you know what, we lost and now you're gonna pay for it, and the other team just being like, oh no.
Oh, why did
we didn't mean it. You didn't do anything, but it doesn't matter.
True. It's a bit unfortunate. Not gonna happen this time, but hey, maybe next game, because we are playing in best of 3. So if you win game 1, maybe you can switch routes and go for the quick finish. I
think I do agree with you, though, in terms of the holistically looking at how the meta is going, as I have to stop myself. Ziv is nearly Mega Gnar. They have the Gravitum. Ooh, that hook down could be a big cooldown if Ziv decided to go in just there and now. But EDG are in position. They are the first ones here. 23 minutes on the clock, 10 seconds until that Drake spawns. Meiko taking a little bit of punishment here from the Swirl Seeds. Everyone just kind of backs away. You can see no real vision here for Rogue Warriors. They're trying to just force themselves in, and while doing that, they are taking a huge amount of hurt. just trying to garner some vision, trying to garner some advantage. And here they know they have to take this fight. 4,000 HP, that's a great zoning cannon barrage coming out here, and there's nothing they can do. They try to wait it out, they try to look for the wombo combo, and run, stun, dub, done. Jiejie running straight in onto these carries. These barrels are doing so much. Moonlight Vigil hits down on the 2 with the graphics, means they're able to stun him down. 3-man shockwave. EDG are cleaning up house right now. Jiejie is not done. Never mind, he is, but with the Dragon Soul, the Baron on the field, and nobody except Betty alive, EDG are just going to take the Baron and then try and end the game.
Not gonna lie, but that was very anticlimactic. I think there was 2 main issues there. Number 1 was Ziv's Gnar bar was in mini Gnar, and he actually was in cooldown mode, so he couldn't get any of that rage back up. There was no chance of him getting a Gnar ultimate in the pit. And the second thing was, I felt like Kaishun's ultimate was just, it was a very low percentage play trying to steal the Ocean Soul, but at the same time, it also meant that his team didn't have any disengage tools anymore. So I find that super questionable from Seraphine, and I would have liked them to see if they're gonna go for this play, try to go all in, and if not, at least hold on to the Seraphine ult for the disengage. But with both of those options gone, it was very easy for EDG for them to just chase up. Meiko finds another good hook. Forge tries to get a wombo combo, and he pretty much is forced to actually just take the E back to cleanse out on the CC there, so he doesn't even get any damage after the crowd control lands.
I mean, run, stun, job done, in the great words of Jay Kiserek Salzipenko. That's why this Udyr is so powerful. It's so annoying. You just get so many, effectively point and click CCs with the bear stance that just keep resetting, and you're so tanky and annoying that if they do focus you, not only will they very rarely be able to take you out, but you're just not worth it. You're not doing damage. You're just running and being a stun bot, which is all you need to be if you're in these compositions. And EDG now looking at a 9,000 gold lead. They got the Baron buff. They're pushing in a kind of a 4-1 setup here. Cannon barrage is there. All summoners available apart from Viper and Meiko. This is as easy as you like, as clean as you like. This is going to be a tough series for Rogue Warriors when we go into the next game. They need to try something different because I feel like this game is done.
Hey, all I'm asking for is one wombo combo from Rogue Warriors. You drafted Seraphine plus Yone for Encore plus Fate Seal. If you don't land that combo this entire game, I'm gonna be sorely disappointed. This is what I came for, okay? So I don't care if you're gonna lose this game, but give me one good wombo. Let's go.
Well, they've whiffed their combos now 3 times in a row. Drake fights 2, 3, and 4. You see, these towers are just paper mache right now, being just shredded down by this Aphelios combination, and with the Gangplank in tow as well, the 80 damage you're able to put in is just insane. Forge looking like he's trying to go for the safe seal. They're trying to get Betty onto the backside as well. The cannon barrage is, again, fantastic to just zone everybody away. Ziv is by himself and dies trying to get onto the back line, and there was your wombo combo, and it felt more like like when you're expecting a massive firework and it just kind of goes like, woo, and then that's it. That's all it gives you. As we see Betty dropping down. Shockwave was expended. Run, stun, job done. EDG, they get themselves all of the Nexus turrets. They will take down the Nexus. This is going to be about 27.5 minutes. Seraphine will pick up a second kill just onto the Udyr, but this is all they are going to say for this game. EDG dominant from start to finish. Decimate Rogue Warriors in game 1.
Yeah, pretty sad end to this one, despite how good it started out. Rogue Warriors actually found the 2-1 kill lead early. Their side lanes were ahead, and I really think it's just the mid-game macro play plus the dragon fights that sort of doomed them. The change to the lane swap to the top lane where they got Herald was, it was a pretty standard play in the LPL, but the problem is you usually actually get the tower first. They not only didn't get the tower first, the enemy team was able to push down to their second tower. So that was one of those situations where I don't think they factored in the top lane wave clear difference, and it really bit them super hard. And the other thing was the second Drake. The second Drake, where they were in position first and Jiejie just stole it in front of their faces, was really difficult to watch. They lost so much momentum off of that.
this waddled in and was just like, cool, now we're on 2 Drakes and we have to stack. We have the stacking power. You have to fight us. And you're against things like an Orianna, Gangplank, and Aphelios, these massive AoE abilities that can just make you clumped up. You know, it just feels bad at the time. And it's becoming hard to watch Rogue Warriors a little bit. I don't have a problem with a team being bad. I have a problem with a team that's directionless and doesn't really know where they want to try to put their resources. And I feel like right now, Rogue Warriors, they have a lot of good ideas, but they just never really make it stick. They don't really know exactly what they want to do. Like, they had an advantage in top side with Ziv, didn't really do anything with that. They tried to force stuff mid. You know, Haro getting a 3-man sleep, but no one was really committing to it. Betty was forced to leave his lane and try and get all these different things. It just felt like they were trying to do things and just never did anything in the end.
Yeah, they actually try to do a lot of pretty standard things from teams, but I think it's just lacking on the details about execution, not factoring minute details like escape paths, not factoring, you know, wave clear speed coming out from their top laners, and Kaisa also just being a very, very new support. That was a fight and a Baron that I don't think EDG should have gotten. Like, sure, they should get Ocean Soul. That's fine. They were in position. Yone doesn't even have 100% crit. He isn't at his power spike. But that ultimate from Seraphine was completely unnecessary when it was a very low percentage play, and it pretty much doomed them to EDG's engage on the backhand. So I just think that Rogue Warriors are just lacking on the details in terms of execution. But the plan itself wasn't all that bad. So, you know, I actually want to see what I want to see out of Rogue Warriors is this. I want to see them actually just try to drill down one composition. It's just like, you know what? We're not going to be able to learn 3 new tricks. Let's just go with one and see where it leads us.
Well, we'll see if they're able to do it. But for EDG, this was exactly what you expected to see from them. They have shown a consistent affiliation, if you will, or affection towards those Drakes, towards those compositions that favor around Drake fights, and it's working for them. Like, yes, they are 8-1. They did lose to IG, but IG are just one of those teams that on the day they can beat anyone in the league, literally, and on the other day they will lose to anybody in the league, literally. So it's a hard kind of, you know, justification to say that the EDG are still not the best team in the league, and Rogue Warriors are certainly looking like the worst. But we'll see if Rogue Warriors are able to bounce back. We're going to send it to a quick break, but when we return, pick and bans for Game 2 will be just